Oh boy, oh boy. Oh boy, oh boy. I was hoping to be coming on here to have a vibe, a good time, super, super excited to talk about how the 49ers are back in the playoff hunt. They're coming back, babe. Nope, that ain't happening today. The 49ers lost in the worst way. Lost in the worst possible way, in my opinion, because it's deflating on so many different levels. And we're going to get into it. We're going to break down the loss, why it happened, who we should blame, who not to blame. We're going to do it all. But before we get all spicy and before we get all spicy habanero, still like this, man. Still like this damn post, even though you're pissed off, even though you hate the world right now, even though you're like, screw everyone and everything. And let's at least like this post, get it out there, get more people in here, and let's talk about it. Let's vibe about it. Let's figure out what is going on with the San Francisco 49ers who fall to the practice squad Cardinals. At Levi Stadium. I think one of the hardest things about this loss, is it is again another loss at home. I don't know what it is about this team right now that just cannot get things going at home. But if you look at this team and you take a step back and let's really look at it again, everything that was on the line, the 49ers had an opportunity to go two in a row, get back squarely in the playoff hunt, put all the noise of the first 8 weeks behind them. But no, it's back. It is back and in full force because you know why? Unfortunately, that might be one of the worst losses in the Kyle Shanahan era. I'm a big Kyle guy. Big Kyle guy. Not saying this falls solely on Kyle Shanahan because it doesn't. It does fall on the coaches, I think, a little bit more than it has in weeks past. But when you look, what do you guys think? Is this the worst loss in of the Kyle Shanahan era? Like, obviously, we've had some pretty demoralizing losses, but considering where the Arizona was with no starting quarterback, both their starting wide receivers down, their starting running back got hurt almost right away. They were they the Arizona Cardinals had no business being in this game. No business being here. That might be, again, we're not talking about the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl is its own beast. We're talking about regular season. We're talking about gotta have it games to change and correct your season. Again, 2017 was a wash to begin with, so it is what it is. 2017, I can't look at any loss from 2017 where I think, oh, that L hurt really bad. You go to 2018, we lose Jimmy Garoppolo in the middle of the third game of the year. Our season was hosed into 2018. Okay, so that year doesn't really matter. You go back to 2019, magical year. The 49ers lost games, but guess what? They lost in competitive fashion. They lost in ways where they were still winning. They were like, you know, you're not going to win every game. It's just not how it works. And so 2019, okay, yeah, Super Bowl, that sucked. And you go to 2020, I look at the Dolphins game. I think the Dolphins game, that to me carried as like the worst loss of the year, and this kind of feels like that. This kind of feels like that. This kind of feels like it's not the same level of debauchery that 2020 Miami game was, but this is up there. This is up there, and I think a lot of it too. I mean, it's a lot. There's a lot at play. But unfortunately, this was a game that they had to have. It was one of those no excuses games. Did they play terribly? No. Did they play as good as they should have played? No. It all, and let's get into it and why it was such a bad game. And it all starts with the fumbles. Those two fumbles early, the drive killers, the momentum killers that then were turned into points for the Arizona Cardinals. Again, what did the 49ers lose by? The score is 31-17. So that's 2 touchdowns disparity that came off of turnovers. So with all that being said, those turnovers were just so difficult. And the way they happened really early set the tone and the momentum for the game. It took a team like the Arizona Cardinals that shouldn't have been in that game, and it made them believe. It made them, it gave them the juice. It gave them the energy. And I think that's just the hardest part, man. I think that's just the hardest part. I think obviously we're all upset. We're trying to understand what this team is and who they are and what they should be. And I think at the end of the day, you take a step back, and regardless of how you felt up until this point, this is the game that they had to prove everyone wrong. They had to prove that they had got everything figured out. The Ayuk situation, I mean, Ayuk had a really good game for the most part. Brandon Ayuk comes out with 6 receptions, 89 yards, a touchdown. You get George Kittle back. George Kittle goes 6-101 and a touchdown. Debo goes 5 for 63. But it's the turnovers, man. It's the turnovers at the worst possible times. It's just not good. Just not good. The 49ers allowed 5 sacks. Can't do that kind of stuff. Can't. And again, they didn't win the time of possession battle. They lost the time of possession battle yet again. The Arizona Cardinals win that with 36 minutes time of possession. 49ers only 23. So again, you're putting yourself at the disadvantage by not being able to control the ball. And it's the 2 lost fumbles. Jimmy threw the pick at the end, but at that time it was desperation. It was desperation at that point. It was just the fumbles. It was the fumbles, the momentum, again, turning the ball over. And it all started. The defense came out, had that really nice stop. Remember, they had a really nice stop. They had the stop, and then it was the one play fumble. And that's where it felt like the energy kind of went out of whack. You had the fumble by Kittle after a really nice defensive stop. Defensive has to come back out on the field after one play to then be put in a position to try and stop this team that just got a shot of energy because they turned over the ball, and they get another shot at it, and then they march down the field and score a touchdown. To me, that sequence dictated the entire game, because from that point, the 49ers were playing catch up. They're trying to get back. They're trying to get their energy right. They're trying to execute. At that point, the defense was gassed because they had just played a really strong drive the play before, and then come out. It's a one-play turnover, and they're back on the field. And then they were back on the field for a long time. It was a good drive by the Arizona Cardinals, and just gassed them. Killed their spirit a little bit, killed their energy. We got bad penalties by refs. In my opinion, I don't think that refs were the reason why they lost, but I think it contributed to the momentum. I think it contributed to some of the momentum that they had suffered with. But again, it's just not being able to get going in that first half, not being able to move the ball and sustain drives. We talked about it in the pregame show, because we know the defense was at a disadvantage. With the defense, their entire secondary is not starters when the 49ers showed up at camp, other than Emmanuel Mosley. The entire secondary, I guess K1 too, are backups. And when you have that, it makes it really hard for your defense to get home, create pressure, do all that kind of stuff. On top of that, I don't like the way that they tried to close out the game. I felt like when they were trying to get that last crucial stop where they needed it, I didn't like the type of play calling that was used. Again, they brought guys off the edge, yet they gave huge cushions to the guys running in breaking slant routes when you only needed 3 yards, and they basically gave them a free shot. I didn't understand that thought process particularly there. Um, but I think if we're going to look at the loss overall, it goes back to the previous weeks. The lack of feels like continuity and energy, and I don't know, it's just a weird energy. It's a weird energy. Um it was weird. It was just a weird loss. And then really quickly, since it's here, um, I don't bash players. I don't. I really don't. Like I said, I try to cover this team as a player because I have played football before. I've played football. I've been there. I've done that. I've been in situations. I know what it's like when emotions are high. I know what it's like when miscues happen. I've been there. Of course, I haven't played at this level before. I'm not saying that, but I played this game and I love this game. When Josh Norman did what Josh Norman did, absolutely unacceptable to me. I don't bash players. I don't. Josh Norman could go, like literally. If we were in a different state, like I'm like Josh Norman, you can't even get on the plane. Like you're cut. Like find your way home. Like you have no place here because I don't accept I don't accept that behavior. You can't control a offensive player making an insane catch over you. You can't sometimes. You can't control um maybe like just a freak play happening. You can't do that. You can't control some of the things that occur to you as a player, but what you do control is you control your mind, you control your mentality, you control your emotions. That's what you control. And from a guy like Josh Norman, who's been in the league, to draw a penalty in that situation, and again, okay, chirpiness happens, whatever. I get it. He went out of his way to go taunt Cliff Kingsbury. Um, that wasn't it. The breaking point for me was when Tavon Wilson was trying to calm him down and get him away from the refs, and Josh Norman started going after Tavon Wilson. For me, as a guy who's played, when I see that, I say, "Oh no." I say that is unacceptable. Like I'm talking to my son or something. Like that behavior is unacceptable. Absolutely. A veteran doing that in that moment and then turning on a guy like Tavon Wilson, Josh, you can go, bro. Like you can go. I don't have time. We don't have time. This fan base, this locker room, we don't have time for those types of shenanigans, Josh. We don't have any patience, especially from you, especially from a guy who's given up play after play, pass interference after pass interference. You have zero rope. You have zero rope to do anything like that. And the second he turned on Tavon Wilson, I said, get that guy off this team. And he got benched. Josh Norman did not see the field after that. So just like that, Josh Norman got his ass cut from this team. And I hope that's what happens. Again, I don't wish injury on anyone. I don't wish ill will on anyone. But when you do something within your control like that and you just lose it and you come after your own guys on that sideline, again, I go back to me. When I'm out there rocking my helmet and I'm out there on the sidelines and I'm out there with my boys and I'm out there grinding through a tough loss, trying to get us back. And you do something like that. No, we are not having that. The leaders step up and say no. And that's what they did. He got his ass benched. Good. And that's not enough. Get off my team. I don't think I've ever in the history of covering this team since 2017 I've never said anything about a player like this. That to me in that moment struck me in such a bad way. It struck me in such a negative way that I'm like, I tweeted it. I said, I never want to see Josh Norman in a 49er jersey again. Get him out of here. And I hope that's the case. Again, I don't wish ill will on no one. I don't wish ill will on no one. But Josh, I'm sorry, my guy. Your time is over. Get out of here. Kick rocks. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. I don't care. Get out of here, Josh. I'd rather rock and die with Ambry Thomas and Diamador Lenore than Josh Norman. That's unacceptable. That's losing football. You want to point and say why the 49ers lose? Because of that mentality, Josh Norman. They lost because of that weak mindset you had, Josh Norman. That's why. That's it in a nutshell. That's that terrible mentality. I hate that. It's one of my biggest pet peeves. If I was a coach, as you can see, I would lose it on a player who did that. I would lose it. And again, he would be benched and then he would not be on the team the very next week. If I had to put myself in that position, again, I'm pissed. And so I'm ranting right now. But for Josh Norman, my guy, so long. You are gone. Get off this team. Absolutely can't stand it. Everyone else, we can work through it. We can pinpoint and we can get better. But we're not getting better with you, Josh Norman. Get the hell off my team. Whew. Sorry. Thank you, DJ. DJ's my guy. DJ's just going to be like, all right, we got the point. All right. So I don't like Josh. Josh can go. Um, Back to why the 49ers lost and all that good stuff. Again, this isn't a conversation that's going to surround the quarterbacks. We're not going to be talking, we shouldn't be talking this week, in my opinion, about Jimmy Garoppolo versus Trey Lance. I think Jimmy Garoppolo did a good enough job. Now, we saw the same Jimmy Garoppolo that we know, right? We know. Jimmy Garoppolo isn't the most consistently accurate quarterback. He'll get it in the vicinity, but there's going to be instances where it's a little high, a little behind. It comes with the territory. But Jimmy Garoppolo wasn't the reason why the 49ers lost today. At one point, he was at 25 for 35, 311 yards, 2 touchdowns, absolutely clean game. He threw the pick there at the end, but I don't even blame him. He was just the pocket was collapsing in on him, and he just threw it. So it is what it is. And at that point, the game was over. So I don't hold that pick against him. I hope that everyone recognized the significant drop off from Mike McGlinchey to Tom Compton. Now, again, this is not a negative view on Tom Compton. Tom Compton is a journeyman backup for a reason. He's not meant to start. He's meant to come in spots and try to, help out a little bit. Tom Compton obviously is not a starting caliber right tackle in this league. And if he is the starting tackle for this team, the 49ers are absolutely in a lot of trouble. Again, Mike McGlinchey was having a pretty decent game up until that point, and it just really all fell apart there at the end. Let's see. Yeah, so this is what Kyle Shanahan just said. Kyle Shanahan said he's surprised by the 49ers play. This is what he said. He said, "That's why I'm extremely disappointed. I'm obviously wrong, but I was very surprised. Thought we had a great week of practice in the meetings, and I felt the energy before the game. I was very caught off guard by how we played." Yeah. Uh, so that is Kyle feels exactly how we feel. And I agree. I felt like the energy was there. I felt like it was all there, and it just all kind of crumbled got started. So that was, a bit unfortunate with how everything played out. I'll keep seeing what Kyle's obviously speaking at the podium right now. But ultimately it comes down to those two fumbles and kind of the way that the order of operations occurred, put them in a bad place, force them to play from behind, force them to play catch up. And it was really tough. It was really, really tough. One of the things that was a bit interesting was kind of the lack of willingness to run the football. I felt like that's something that we did so well against the Chicago Bears and something that really got us on track. Really got the offense in a good spot to win the game against Chicago from behind. Remember, we were behind in that game as well. Um, we were behind against Chicago. Remember, but what were we able to do? We were able to run the football. We were able to kind of get a rhythm. Again, I felt like we were chasing that rhythm. We would see spurts of the rhythm, but when the 49ers aren't running the ball, it's not crazy to understand that when the 49ers aren't running the ball, guess what? Their offense isn't in rhythm. Do you guys notice that? It's very, very common situation. When the 49ers don't run the football, you guess what? The offense typically doesn't look like it's in rhythm. So again, another thing, the 49ers ran. Let's see, where's my rushing? The 49ers ran Elijah Mitchell 8 times. Elijah Mitchell ran the football 8 times for 36 yards. Jimmy Garoppolo had 1 carry. Jermichael Hasty had 1 carry. Brandon Ayuk had 1 carry for -2. The 49ers rushed the ball 11 times. That's kind of why probably why it didn't feel like there was much cohesion, much continuity. Because when they run the ball, and again, remember the first carry, Elijah got hit and he churned it out for 9 yards. Elijah was doing a really good job when he got the opportunity. It just, we veered away. We got away from it. There was no Jeff Wilson. Jeff Wilson didn't touch the ball. Um, so it's unfortunate, man. It's it sucks. And those are the, again, like if I had an opportunity, man, to sit down with Kyle, those are the questions that I would ask him. I would go in to just be like, just Kyle, like, just take a step back. Like, what is the what are you trying to set as the standard for your offense? Is it the passing game, or is it the run game? Because we've been off working off we're a run first team, yet it seems we come out and we pass first. And when we come out and pass first, our offense doesn't seem to get into very much rhythm. So why are we doing that? I get it. Teams are going to sell out to stop the run. They're going to stack the box. They're going to do that against us, but there's creative ways to, again, execute play action, naked boots, all those screen passes. There are ways to mitigate stacked boxes and people trying to stop the run. But when you're not in a rhythm of trying to gash them with the run, and then you're just showing pass all the time, that's not our strong suit. We're not a passing team. So that's part of it that kind of is the frustrating part of why like, you guys know I like blocking. I like blocking. I like running the football. That's what happens when you play at offensive line. You like blocking and you like running the football. We didn't do enough blocking and we didn't do enough running the football. I feel like if the 49ers were to kind of have a better balance, again, they got down early, but that they did not have to abandon anything. They got down so quick, so early that they did not have to abandon that. So I see people saying we're back on the firing conversation. No coaches should be fired. Did My biggest gripe with D'Amico Ryans was the way he handled that last uh, series with what they had to stop and how they tried to stop it. I didn't like it. We were doing the stream earlier. I didn't really like it. Um, that was my biggest gripe. But that's not a fireable offense. That's not a fireable offense. That's not. And again, he's a rookie. He's a rookie DC, man. Was it on coaching? Sure. But I don't think that's a fireable offense because if you look at it, D'Amico Ryans has put together the better coaching performances up until this point this year. Outside, remember the last drive against the Green Bay game is kind of a similar situation. They're playing like this weird off coverage when they shouldn't have been. They did that against Green Bay in the final 37. Okay, well, on the final drive where they needed to stop, it was a little bit of the same. It was a little bit of we're playing off on plays where we should probably be pressing and really not be giving free releases and doing those kinds of things. So a couple series and instances, I'm not ready to fire anyone except Josh Norman. We can we fire Josh Norman? We can do that. We will if we want to fire someone, we're firing Josh Norman. Josh Norman, you can be fired. So now we vented, right? We're venting. We're venting. We're getting it out there. All right, I gotta stop. Someone asked. I gotta stop. Someone asked. I gotta stop. You know the vibes. I gotta. All right. So my guy wants to know where you get the beanie. This is a residence beanie. These are fired. The gold and red is out of stock, but they got black and white, and I think white and they got a couple other colors of the beanie in stock. So if you do want to grab the beanie, we'll get back to the rant real quick. But if you do want to grab the beanie really quickly, you can get it here. And as where'd it go? No, that's not what I wanted. This. You could get the beanie here at Residency. Use promo code the SF9ers. That's how you can get it. Get a little discount. You got all the hats back here too. If those what you want. You got all the Residency hats. So if you do want this, that's where you go. Sorry, he asked. Sorry. He asked. So I get it. Not the best time. But so when we take a step back and we look at this team that's 3-5 now. Now, are they out of the playoffs? I still think there's still an opportunity for a wild card. But does it feel like that's in reach? No. Does it feel like this team is going to get there? No. Have they inspired anyone to believe that the 49ers are going to get to the playoffs? Not necessarily. So I get it. It's going to be a lot to work through this week. It's going to be a really hard week around here because we're going to have to again try to figure out why the 49ers can't get this thing turned around. Even Kyle's saying it. Kyle's like, the energy all week was great. The energy before kickoff was great. What happened? I don't know. So it doesn't feel great. It really doesn't feel great. So they're saying Jalen Moore didn't go into the game for Mike McGlinchey because he's played only the left side. We talked about that during the live. It is not simple to take a guy who plays left tackle and say, hey, you've never played right tackle, go play right tackle. It's completely different. You can't just switch sides like that. So if Mike McGlinchey is out for an extended period of time, however, I do expect Jalen Moore to make the switch. Jalen Moore is a much, much better tackle than Tom Compton. No disrespect to Tom Compton. Tom Compton is just a journeyman. He's been there. He's been in the league for years. He's just not it right now. Jalen Moore is absolutely the better right tackle than Tom Compton, but you need to give him a week. You need to give him at least a week to rep it. He's not going to do it right away. And you can't, and it's absolutely right. You can't insert him into the game at right tackle. I probably would have done worse than Tom Compton based on that situation. I think another player that was missed today was Jimmy Ward. I think Jimmy Ward not being out there, man, that sucked a lot. That's I think we missed Jimmy Ward and his consistency. What he's been doing, he's been a lifesaver on the back end. He really has. So I think the 49ers missed Jimmy Ward on that defense today. Sirs, I'm probably destroying your at. He says, seriously, a few people should be fired today. We got punished by backups. Yeah, we did. We did. Yeah, I'll say this: we can fire this guy. Oops, that's not what I wanted. We can fire this guy. We can fire Josh Norman. I think we can all rally together as a fan base and say, fire Josh Norman. I don't say fire anyone unless it like gets to that point. I don't believe the coaching staff is there yet. I don't believe the coaching staff is there to that point. I get it. It's not to the level that we want, and we expect more. We expect better play calling. We expect better execution. 100%. Fireable, I'm not ready. I'm not ready. There's going to be plenty of other content creators that you can go to for your fire Shanahan and your fire D'Amico. I'm not there. I'm not there yet. It's not great. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to pretend like it's great. I'm not going to pretend like it's fantastic and the coaching staff is, they're doing a really good job, and they're not. The coaching staff needs to do better. The coaching staff, starting with Kyle, needs to do better. And that's where it starts, and that's where it's always. So that's why it feels like fire Kyle, because he's responsible. At the end of the day, he's responsible. He's responsible. That's how it works. So I get the upset. I get the anger. I'm not ready to fire coaches yet. It's just not my vibe. I'm ready to fire coaches when it's ready, when we're ready to fire coaches. Like that's when I get ready. And I'll tell you when I'm ready. And I get to that point. I'm not there yet. But I agree. Someone said it. Who'd they say? Who said that? Someone said it. Where did it go? So Josh on Facebook said, yeah, coaching is a real problem right now. I agree. I think that's where this dysfunction feels like it started at the coaching level. Obviously, we know the turmoil. I don't know if that is like all of the entire. Can they overcome that? It doesn't feel like they can. It just doesn't feel like they can gel right now. Is that fireable? I don't necessarily think so. But yeah, I would agree. Coaching isn't. We're not having our best performances by our coaches right now. DeBartolo would be in that locker room yelling at the coach if it were in the 1980s. Yeah, I mean, so I don't know. They clearly had they clearly had a situation where they talked about this last week before the Chicago game, and I felt it was interesting. And Bosa said this as well. He said, John Lynch coming in and talking to the team before the game, it really motivated everyone. It really invigorated everyone. It got everyone pumped up to go out and win. And it just got me thinking, again. It's like, I know Kyle's a good designer, but he's not a motivational guy. He's never been a motivational guy. And he hasn't. He's just not his thing. And I get it. Everyone has their strengths and weaknesses. His strength is clearly around play design and things like that. But when the team gives John Lynch a ton of credit, as Kyle gave John Lynch a ton of credit for motivating the troops that came out, got the win, they gave a ton of credit after the fact to John Lynch's speech. And it's just like, who does that need to occur on a daily, like a weekly basis? Does John Lynch need to be giving motivational speeches week in and week out? Is that like, what is that what we're missing? Are we missing that side of that? Are we like did losing Sala because from my understanding, Sala was the one who would speak to the team and give them the motivation speech before, you know, before games on Fridays. That was Sala's duty. Uh, Nick Bosa said, I mean, when you hear, he said, when you hear Kyle talking to you every day, it loses its impact. And that's why John Lynch coming in and talking to the group was such a big difference. And so to me, that's where the problem is. To me, it's with motivation and where the motivation is coming from and how to get this group motivated to playing their style and playing and executing to their level. Right now, the motivation just isn't there. I don't know what it is. And for them to point so emphatically to John Lynch speaking to the locker room before the Chicago game and that being a huge reason why they won, is that the reason why we're losing? Like, is that it? Is that the reason? Is that we don't have that level of motivation? Is it become hard to motivate someone when you try to trade them for the better part of a year? Is it hard to motivate an offense when they back the guy you tried to trade? So I really think that's a big problem here. Again, I think this year is going to be chalked up to this offseason. Again, we want to focus on the execution and the play calling, but at the end of the day, there's a disjointed energy right now. There's a disjointed energy, and you can point to the offseason, and it just keeps coming back to that. Because again, when you're losing, you start to play for yourself. You start, what's my next job gonna be? Where am I playing next? Because it's not working out here. So that's been Jimmy Garoppolo's mentality since training camp. Jimmy Garoppolo's mentality since training camp is don't make mistakes because I don't want to get benched. Not play fearlessly, not come out and just like light it up and know that my coach has got my back no matter what, because that's what coaches do. Coaches have your back. They empower you to play better. You ask any you guys probably have played sports. You guys have probably played sports and you can look back to any of the coaches that you've had in your past and you can pinpoint a coach where you're like, that dude made me a better person. He made me a better player just by his presence, just by him believing in me, just by him giving me the tools to be successful, which a part of that is the support. Well, guess what? That unfortunately hasn't been here because they've been trying to do things, right? They've been trying to do things with the roster. Um, you can we go as far back as DeForest Buckner being traded? Like, can we go that far back? I'm just saying, like, I always and another reason why I don't crap on players is because I've been in locker rooms. I know the dynamics. I know how hard it is sometimes. From a locker room perspective, the human element of football is not taken into account by the average fan. So that I sympathize with players. I'm a player advocate. I don't. That's why I don't bash players. But you can also, on the flip side, put yourself in a position that this team has put themselves in all year based on managing personnel. And that's the battle, right? Is managing egos, managing personalities. And so I don't know if they've done a good job at that. And if that is the trickle down, if that's the why, right? I don't know. So clearly it's going to be a long week. It's going to be a long week. At least let me pull the chat. Let me pull the chat real quick. Simple yes no. Simple yes no. Does Jimmy Garoppolo deserve to be the starter next week? In your eyes, um did did Jimmy Garoppolo did Jimmy Garoppolo play himself out of a start next week? Simple yes or no. Or do you think Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be starting next week? So the question is, did he play himself out of a start? I see no, I see no, I see no, I see no, but I got a lot of yeses. Yes, 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 yes. Deserve, yes. Should be, can't tell. Hell no. Yes. No, 3 and 5. Yes. Yes. So again, the question is, does he deserve to get the start? Yes. Yep. No. No. Yes. No. All right. So it's all over the place. It's all over the place, man. It's all over the place. So there's a lot of yeses, a lot of nos. I don't think Jimmy played particularly that bad, but I would have to imagine this thought process is in line with kind of the season is over mentality. The kind of the kind of yeah, like did he play himself out of a start? Not necessarily, but is the season feel like it's over? Kinda. So does that mean we go with the future? Sure. That kind of seems like the mentality right now. My personal opinion, I don't think Jimmy Garoppolo played himself out of a start next week. I think Jimmy Garoppolo starts against again the Rams. And we reset it, right? I feel like we reset it. This is the again we talked about the offseason. This is what happens when you keep a franchise quarterback with his replacement on the roster, knowing the franchise guy is going to get replaced by the new guy, and at any moment. Um, so it's a game by game. Jimmy Garoppolo, in my opinion, did not play poorly enough to get benched. I imagine Jimmy Garoppolo comes out and is the starter against the Rams. Now, like I said, though, I think it's game by game now. Honestly, I think it's game by game. Essentially, what that means is if Jimmy Garoppolo is performing well, then it's his job. But if we see Jimmy Garoppolo suffer for more than a half, I think it's going to take more than a half or just an implosion. We're not going to see Trey until that occurs. So I think Jimmy Garoppolo starts next week. But if Jimmy Garoppolo throws 3 picks against the Rams on prime time, oh boy, oh boy. Now this week is going to be tough, but again, it's the same thing as last week. Now it's like how do we manage this momentum? Are we going to somehow like take this now negative momentum and then parlay that into into a Rams matchup on prime time? Like we needed this win. We needed this win against the practice squad Cardinals for this reason alone because now now it seems kind of hard to like another home game. The Rams are coming back here on Monday night. Oh boy, guys. Oh boy. Like they needed this win because we see it. We see the chat, fire Shan. That's what happens when you lose. We get it. You want to fire people. You're upset. I understand. I get you. I get you. That's why we're fans. We're passionate. We're very passionate about our team that we love. And we're very passionate when they suck. Like it sucks when they suck. It sucks to suck. Does it not? It sucks to suck. So I get it. But we needed that momentum. We needed that to be riding high off a Cardinals victory, first dub at home, so that if they were to lose to the Rams, we would be okay. We would be okay. Um, we would be okay. But now it's a lot more sketchy. Now it's a lot more sketchy. Now if they lose really badly again on prime time on a Monday night when the entire football world is watching. Everyone is watching on Monday night. Everyone. So, We're going to find out. We're going to find out next week. We're going to find out what this team is, what they're not, who's getting fired and who's not getting fired. We're about to find out. We are about to find out. There's nothing like a humiliating loss on national television for heads to roll. So, again, I'm not an advocate of that. I don't think that should happen, but we've seen that trend happen before, not on this team, other teams. It's what happens when you have a lot of eyes on you. You got a lot of eyes on you and they're watching you. Now they know the narrative. The narrative is this team who got reinforcements back. They got George Kittle back, best tight end in football in my opinion. They get George Kittle back. They get Jeff Wilson back. It wasn't used. It is what it is. They get Azeez Al-Shaair back. Again, he's been a phenomenal linebacker for us. They get some guys back, but the Cardinals get hurt more in game, and somehow they're on the road playing like a championship caliber team. Where's the disconnect? The disconnect was the Cardinals didn't have more talent on the field than the 49ers. That wasn't the disconnect. The disconnect was how they just put it together. And it got put together pretty poorly, man. It got put together pretty poorly. So that's the narrative now. That's the narrative. The narrative's not good. The narrative's not good. This was a gotta have it. This was a gotta have it. So it hurts, man. It hurts. Hurts my soul. It hurts. Hurts my soul. I agree. I agree. I had them. I think we talked about this. I did a record prediction episode in the off season. I don't like doing record predictions because I think they're inherently set up for failure. But how we talked about it is we talked about the season having 3 ranges of outcomes based on the record. If they were to go like I don't know, 12-5, 13-4, like we would have been like that was really good season. That's a really good season. Or no. With like 3 or 4 losses, we would have said that was a really good season. If they were to drop into about the 5 to 6 loss category, we would have said, that's kind of where I expected to, about 5 or 6 losses, because that's just kind of how I saw it. About 5 or 6 losses, and that would have been, fringe playoffs. That would be in the hunt, those kinds of things. Good shape to make the playoffs. But the other outcome was worse than that. So which range of outcome do we fit in? We still kind of fit into the slot where we can still run the table, but how confident are we that they're going to run the table? How confident are we that they're going to stack some wins together? Because this is what the schedule turns into. Now, LA Rams, yeah, that's going to be a hard one on prime time. That's going to be a hard one. But you got Jacksonville week 11, winnable game. You have the Vikings week 12, winnable game. You have Seattle at Seattle week 13. Seattle's been a shell of themselves, but they're being competitive, which is, again, tip your cap to the coaching. Bengals are a pretty decent team. Atlanta, I think, won today, but they've been kind of mediocre. Derrick Henry's not going to be out with Tennessee. You got the Texans coming to town, and then you end with the Rams. Like, there are games that are winnable here and should be winnable, but that becomes the problem, is that's what this game was. That's what this game was. This was the winnable game. And so that's why I think a big portion of the fan base This is not what I said. I think you guys are misrepresenting what I said. That's not at all what I'm saying. I'm not saying the 49ers are running the table. What I'm saying, and the point is that this game was the winnable game, and they didn't win it. This was the one that they needed to win, and they didn't win it. So yes, 5, 6, 7 losses, is that kind of what we thought? We did. I did personally. But this was the gotta have it one. This was the gotta have it one. And so now that thought process of how to look at the rest of the year, it becomes week to week, in my opinion. It becomes week to week with who with Jacksonville. Can we beat Jacksonville at Jacksonville? I hope so. On paper, the answer should be yes. But that's not the problem with this team. This problem with this team is playing to their level. The problem with this team is playing to their level. And they're not playing to their level right now. Again, the Arizona Cardinals played above their level, and they had Colt McCoy and a bunch of different cast of characters in there. So looking into the future, I get it. If you're not optimistic, I understand. And at a certain point, you are what your record is. You are who you are. You are what you put on tape. And kind of right now, they keep putting the same thing on tape. It's not a one-off anymore. You know, it's not a it's not a situation where it's like, it's just 1 week or trap game. It's kind of becoming who they are, and that's the scariest part. I think the scariest part is that that's what happened. And Tim Link says, I can't be optimistic anymore. Lance needs to start right now. Winnable game. That's what this was. Yep. This was the winnable game. This was stacked in our favor. Yep. To quote Jim Mora, playoffs? Playoffs? Are you kidding me? You're talking about playoffs? 100%. 100%. And that's it. And that's it. So again, there was the point. The point of what I was saying was about how we viewed the offseason and why we said what we said. But we kind of find ourselves in that point to be able to still make the playoffs. That's the point. We still can make the playoffs per the math. We're not out per the math. But this is what it feels like. This, based on the type of play, the 49ers didn't go out today and play a brand of football that was inspiring. They didn't go out and play to their level and just get beat, because that happens. Sometimes the other team just gets a better call here or there. They get that one penalty that works in their favor. And it's just a hard loss, or they just happen to get the ball on the last drive and get in a good spot, kick a game-winning field goal. Still, that didn't occur. It wasn't a good effort. They kept fighting, which was nice. I like that they fought all the way throughout, but at the end of the day, the effort wasn't good. So I don't know. I understand. I get it. And I think that's what we're talking about. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about how do you be, and that's going to be a lot of fans. A lot of fans aren't going to be optimistic. They're going to jump off the bandwagon. They're going to want to fire everyone, which I understand. But I don't know. What are we? What are we? What are we right now? This is what we are. We're frustrated. We're very frustrated at this point. So we're going to not look into the future anymore. We're done looking into the future. We're going to focus on right now. Right now, the 49ers are not playing their best ball. And it just wasn't good. Wasn't good enough to get the job done, unfortunately. On defense, Fred Warner led in tackles. He had 8 total tackles. I mean, it just wasn't enough. There's nothing, that really stood out that gave a ton of hope. It was nice to see Eric get a sack. Arden Key got a sack. Just nothing too crazy. Nothing too crazy. So 49er fans are frustrated. Uh, it's just tough, man. It's tough. This team is not performing to their level. They're not performing to their level. So I don't know. I don't know what it is. Um, I guess a positive. I know no one wants to talk about positives right now, but we'll try. We'll attempt. We'll attempt to talk about a positive. Ayuk was back, so that was good. It was good to see Ayuk really bounce back. He still looks like he's still trying to get to that level of being fully back, but he's been looking a lot better again. Um, he was tied with leading the team in receptions with George Kittle. He had a good game, man. Oh, 100%. This is we talk about this. We've talked about this quite a bit. This is what killed the energy. The fumbles killed the energy. That's why when people say momentum isn't real, um, I tend to disagree with that because that's kind of what I feel like we saw. We saw them fumble and the momentum be fumbled as well. And it got fumbled into the Cardinals' lap, and the Cardinals took the momentum and they said thank you. They said thank you. We needed all the fumbles. We needed we needed all the mistakes for you guys to occur, to happen, so we have a chance to win. And we did it early. Not only and we did it early, so I think that gave them the belief. It gave them the belief early that they could win this game. And that's a big part of what football is. Just half the battle is believing that you can do it. Half the battle is believing that you can win. And so the 49ers, with those two fumbles, they fumbled the momentum over to them. Fumbled the momentum over to them. Adrian Mora says, do you see the 49ers bringing Jimmy Garoppolo back? Do I see them coming like next year? I would not imagine he's back next year. I would not. So I agree. It started and ended with the fumbles. The fumbles were bad because we couldn't give this team any optimism. We couldn't give them any slivers of hope. And that's exactly what had occurred early. And once they grabbed it, they realized like, oh, we got a shot. We got a shot at taking this team out. And they did. They took us out. They believed much more than we did. Their backs were against the wall much, much more than we were. And they believed early that they could, and they did. And so you have to tip your cap. It's wild to say, but Kyle Shanahan got outcoached by Cliff Kingsbury. Kyle Shanahan got outcoached by Cliff Kingsbury. That's tough. That's tough. It's really tough. So obviously, I think that's if we're going to pinpoint the issues of why the 49ers lost this game, I really believe it starts with the fumbles because I think there's so much else fumbled with it. They fumbled the belief that they could win this game and they gave it to the other team. And that's part of it. Not only did they physically fumble, but they mentally fumbled. And that's, I think, the two combined of doing that two times in the order that it occurred was worst case scenario. Do I think the 49ers can make the playoffs if they play like this? Absolutely not. This team playing like that, it's pretty self-explanatory. If they play like that to Colt McCoy, no, there's no way. There's no way the 49ers make it to the playoffs playing like that because that's not how they play or should be playing. But again, they keep putting it on tape. So sooner or later, it's kind of who they become. Is this Kyle's worst year coaching? I would say yes. I'm a big Kyle guy. Again, I like Kyle. I'm not ready to fire Kyle. I understand why a lot of you guys are. I get it. This is Kyle's worst year of coaching, 100%. Oh, this is about Cliff Kingsbury out. No, I think Cliff Kingsbury outcoached him. And again, a big part of coaching, again, that we talked about earlier with Kyle, is motivating players. At a certain point, it's about belief. Again, my best coach, the coaches who got me to play the hardest and play my best ball were coaches that believed in me, were coaches that had my back, were coaches that knew how to talk to me and communicate to me when I made a mistake, help me get out of my own head. That's what I'm talking about. That team on the other side played inspired. They played inspired. That's out coaching. That's out coaching. They played outspired because their coach inspired them to play that way. That's where I think they got out coached. It comes from that standard. Brad, Kyle was out coached by a special teams coordinator, even though, oh my gosh, you guys. So if you guys want to drop questions, I'll see some of the questions that you guys got. Answer some of those. Brad, who do you think the Niners trade off this season for draft picks? The trade deadline's over. And they bought. They didn't sell. So to me, 49ers were primed to try to make a playoff push, man. They were primed. They don't look like they're ready for a playoff push after today. They don't. Brad, is Kyle taking on too much remaining a play caller as a head coach? I think so. Yeah, I think so. I think Kyle being the general manager and the head coach has caught up to him. That's why this year's not working, because Kyle Shanahan had to make the hard moves that a GM makes. But again, that's why you have the separation. That's why there's a layer of general manager coach, because the head coach fires and trades and the general manager fires and trades those guys. And then the coach can say, we lost a good one, and just be like, I didn't do it. It was the general manager. Kyle's the general manager. Kyle's making the moves. So, which kind of comes to this. That's what it feels like. That's what it feels like. That's what it feels like. Mr. Cartier says, okay, let me ask, is it more offensively or defensively the reason why we're losing? Offensively. I will emphatically say the offense is the reason why we're losing. The defense is hurt. They're not playing their best ball, but the offense isn't helping them. So my opinion is it's 100% all year on the offense. All year. Do you think we get OBJ? I don't know. I posted this poll. on Instagram. And I had a couple players on the 49ers vote no. So I mean, when you say, hey, should the 49ers pick up OBJ, and you got players that are in that locker room that say they push no, I don't know. That to me kind of tells me that's probably their vibe in the locker room as well. So I don't know. Luke says, I missed some plays driving to my club meeting, but from what I saw, I think he dialed up some good things on the offense, but he didn't coach those fumbles into the players forcing us behind. No, I agree. Like, yeah, he didn't coach anyone into fumbles. But again, it comes back to at a certain point, when you step on the field, you become a leader of men. You become you don't become the whiz kid, the whiz kid kind of only holds so much weight. Um, when you need to motivate guys and you need to motivate men, which are all alpha males, um, that's a hard task, man. That's a hard task. Um, Getting people to buy in and believe, just like if you are a manager or you're your own boss or whatever, and you've got people under you, sometimes the hardest battle is just motivating people to do their job, even though it's in their job description. But guess what? The best ones, the best bosses, the best coaches know how to get their players to elevate. So we're not seeing that. We're not seeing that. And again, what did they talk about? What did they talk about? Why they played so well and elevated their game against the Chicago Bears? Every single player on that team, including Kyle Shanahan, has pinpointed John Lynch's speech before that game. So at a certain point, that guy's got to motivate at a sense. DJ says, Brad, the coaching apparently an issue. My question would be, why don't they work together in the long game? That is, I think it's just the offseason. It's the offseason trickle down. It's the offseason trickle down of all the issues that occurred, the stress that it put on the locker room. Like, this offseason put a ton of stress on the locker room. And still stresses them based on how the quarterback situation was managed. So I think I believed this whole time. I wrote this in January. I wrote this in January in an article saying, if the 49ers are moving off Jimmy, they got to move off Jimmy. If they're drafting a rookie, get Jimmy out of here. Not because Jimmy isn't serviceable or is a bad guy, but for this reason of basically telling a guy, hey, I don't believe in you, so I'm drafting your replacement, and he's here now, and guess what, I still don't believe in you. I still don't believe in you. We're still moving off you. I still don't believe in you. So I mean, that's the leader of the locker room. Like, that's at least on the offensive side of the football. They look at Jimmy Garoppolo as the leader. And so when the head coach, the general manager, the offensive coordinator, the play designer is at odds with the team leader, if you had to ask me this question, do the offensive players have Kyle's back or do they have Jimmy's back? If you had to ask me that question, do the players in that team have Kyle's back or do they have Jimmy's back? I believe they have Jimmy's back. I believe the players in that locker room, specifically the offensive side, and I know for a fact defensively as well, I've heard from players in that defensive room, not impressed, like completely outside of anything else you guys have heard, in DMs, in text messages with starting defenders on this team. They believe in Jimmy. And when the head coach doesn't, but the entire team does, do you feel like that would cause an issue? I think it would. You know what I'm saying? Like, sometimes you, like, when you got to pick and choose, sometimes you ride with the guy that has ridden for you, even if that goes against your best interests. So it's tough, man. It's tough. The off season will haunt this roster for the rest of the year. this offseason is going to haunt this team for the rest of the year. Because guess why? Just like today, where Jimmy Garoppolo didn't have a bad game. It's a Jimmy Garoppolo game. It was a decent Jimmy Garoppolo game. Wasn't the best, wasn't the greatest, but he didn't lose them the game, in my opinion. Still, fans want Trey Lance. Still. And can Kyle go to Trey Lance? No, he can't. Because if he does, you really want to lose the locker room? Go to Trey Lance. You really want to hamper your young quarterback's development? Go to Trey Lance. See what happens. And honestly, that's what it comes down to. It just comes down to the vibe. The vibe isn't there. We're big vibe guys, right? That's why we like this. That's why the Sourdough Squad is undefeated, because the Sourdough Squad's vibe is unmatched. We try to stay positive. We try to stay optimistic. We try to look at everything from multiple angles. We don't stick to one side and just dig in and this is our side. No, we are not like that. We take in all info. We take in everything. We don't care what happened in the past. That's not going to make us stand strong in what we believe. We take in all the info. We take in all the information as it comes, as it develops, and then we make opinions, and those opinions change as a result. This team is not working because of the quarterback situation. It's not. It's just not. It isn't. So energy matters. Like, it's so complicated. It's so complicated. Like, me just saying that, it doesn't do it justice at all. There's so much complication into this. There's so many layers to this. And my honest opinion, I don't think this is a bad roster. I really don't. Why couldn't that roster that we saw today beat the Arizona Cardinals? Why? They could. 100%. They could. They have the talent. They could. They could absolutely beat the Arizona Cardinals. But they beat themselves yet again. Yet again. This is a good point. This is a good point. I believe this too. If we score more points, we will win. Oh, no. God, no. No, this is not what I'm saying. No. I'm not saying this at all. No. That would be wild. That would be wild if they did that. Yeah, it's and I mean, that's my vibe. I don't think this is a bad roster. I don't think this is a bad roster. Elijah Mitchell's been balling out, but what happens when you don't get back to Elijah Mitchell? George Kittle's back. Brandon Ayuk's stepped up. Deebo Samuel's been balling. Kyle Juszczyk's best fullback in football. The offensive line is so much better than people make it out to be. This team can win. This team has talent. They have the best left tackle in football. Lincoln Tomlinson is the most underrated guard in football. Alex Mack has done much better than people give him credit for. And the same thing goes for Brunskill and McGlinchey. They have pieces to get it done. They're just not. They're just not. We're going to get back to positive. We'll figure out a way. Oh, if the 49ers release what's his name? If and when the 49ers release Josh Norman, that's going to be a positive. We're going to be super happy about that. Again, I don't keep that energy. I don't keep that vibe for anyone until you give me a reason. And Josh Norman gave me a reason. Josh Norman gave me a reason to not want him anywhere near my squad. So we'll celebrate that. I don't vibe with those types of people. So we'll celebrate that. Um, we'll celebrate that. But yeah, we'll find a way to get back on track this week. Obviously, everyone's upset right now. We're kind of venting. It's a bit of a vent session. Um, we're doing the best we can with the emotions that we have. So we'll see what happens next week. We the SDS merch. Oh, it's coming. It's coming. 100%. The SDS merch is coming because the SDS squad is undefeated. Again, even though we might take L's as a team, we're undefeated. The SDS we stay undefeated because you can't defeat the undefeated. And that's the point. Right? At the end of the day, that's the point. Do we feel defeated? Yes. Are we defeated? No, we're not. We aren't. And guess what? We'll live another day, and this team will be good eventually. Might not be tomorrow. Might not be against the Rams. Might not be this year. They will be good eventually. We can't be ass forever. Oh my god. I agree. Lance needs experience, but I agree Lance needs experience, but under these circumstances, it's kind of toxic, right? Would you want your young, impressionable quarterback to be tossed into this toxic disaster? This is what happened. This is what happened to Jared Goff when Case Keenum was the starter for the Rams. You can go back and watch Hard Knocks. It was wild. Case Keenum was playing okay. They were mediocre, which what would you expect from that roster back then? They were mediocre. They went halfway through the year. I think it was off a win, and they just made a decision that we're just going from Case Keenum to Jared Goff. And everyone on the roster was like, what the? Because they knew Jared wasn't ready. Jared knew Jared wasn't ready. And they put him out in a really bad spot. And I think it really messed up Jared's full potential. I don't want that. I don't want that for the 49ers. If you kept Jimmy to play all year, then you can't play Trey Lance until the season is over, meaning they're eliminated from the playoffs. So I don't know. We'll see. So again, we've communicated, we've expressed this. It's a really simple concept. Um, Moore is night and day a better tackle than Tom Compton, but Moore only plays left tackle. He was left tackle in college, which means he's probably a left tackle as a high schooler. He's only been a left tackle with the 49ers. If you were to put Moore at right tackle, you know how screwed up that is? You know how screwed up that is as a coach? To put a young player again, we just got done talking about it, putting it your young player in a position to be uh un- unsuccessful? No. No. Is he a better right tackle? 100%. Kyle made the right choice by not putting in Jalen Moore at right tackle for a guy who has no right tackle experience. It is, you can only flip flop back and forth if you know how to play the right side and the left side. I, as an offensive lineman, could play left. I could play right. I could do both because I played both and repped both and practiced both. But if I only played left guard and they said, "Hey, Brad, you need to go to the right side," I'd be like, "What? What? I need to go to the right side? I'm not. How? What do I do?" Because your footwork, everything is backwards. Imagine it. Imagine a mirror. Imagine a mirror. Everything, everything changes. Everything changes. So I agree. Doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to move inexperienced tackle to right tackle, which is a position he has yet to play. Um, Maybe after a week of practice, maybe after a couple reps, maybe a week worth of reps at right tackle. Okay, I can give me a week of Jalen Moore at right tackle. I feel much better. But in game, hell no. Absolutely not. There's a recipe for disaster. So if Jalen Moore's going to play right tackle, it starts on Wednesday, when they get back into practice. You put him at right tackle. You have him doing right tackle drills on Monday and Tuesday. You start because again, you have to flip your brain. Everything is flipped. Your stance is flipped. The calls is flipped to what you are used to being called, like a call where you're the front side, all of a sudden you're backside and vice versa. And your footwork is different. Like there's a lot that goes into that. So we're not doing that. Maybe after a week of practice, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it after a week of practice. But he is a better yes, he's a better tackle. Jalen Moore is a much better tackle than Tom Compton right now. Just got to be prepared. Drop a couple questions if you got them. We'll end on a couple questions. I get it. This is not a fun game. Not a fun game. So we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, it is not. So basically, the point he's making is, again, another offensive lineman playing out of position. That's why offensive linemen get taken for granted day in and day out. That's why I am an offensive lineman. I'm an offensive lineman guy. So it is not easy to just flip. He might have. Trent Williams didn't play a lot in training camp, so that's why Jalen Moore stayed on the left tackle spot. He played left tackle. I really didn't see him much at left guard. He played primarily left tackle all throughout training camp, all throughout preseason, because again, remember, Trent Williams didn't participate in any preseason games. So they kept Moore at left tackle. I did not see him bump down to left guard. What's weird about this is it kind of feels like that. It kind of feels like we're at a worse spot than 2020, but the talent that we have on this team is so much better. That's the wildest part. The wildest part is that 2020 was a disaster, but we still have better talent on this roster right now than we did in 2020. I did not see this. I did not. Do you see? Did I see J Love's performance today? Doesn't that disprove the notion that QBs need to sit and learn, especially after he learned from Rodgers and he played a putrid? I don't know. I didn't watch. I have no idea how Jordan Love performed. So, and again, this is a dangerous thought process because every single person's developmental journey is individual to themselves. And that's the biggest problem that fans have is they try to compare players as if they're the same. They're not. Jordan Love and Trey Lance's development is completely different. There's no way related or correlated to one another at all. I don't know how Jordan Love played today. I don't know if he played good. I don't know if he played bad. I can't even tell from this comment. But again, no, this does not mean anything for my quarterback because my quarterback is my quarterback. He's not Jordan Love. He hasn't been he's not in Green Bay. So no, it does. What Jordan Love is going through means absolutely nothing to me. So I don't know. Let's see. You guys got anything else? So I think we might end it on this question because it's pretty doom and gloom question. I guess we got a super chat to keep us alive. I think this is the hardest part about this year. Is the 49ers have 33 players under contract. The 49ers, let me say it again. There are 53 on the active. I believe there are 16 on the practice squad. Out of all those players, there are only 33. There are only 33 that are under contract for 2022. So the answer is yes. Like, because I think the hard reality, and I think why we want this year to work so well, is we understand what's coming. I understand what's coming next year. I understand that this team is not going to look the same. It's going to look a lot different. We might have a lot of the same core pieces, but the other pieces are going to be again. We have 33 right now under contract. We need 90. We need 90 by the start of camp or start of OTAs. 90 players. We have 33 under contract. And I think with those 33 under contract, I think we have like only 24 million available cap space. So a lot of changes are coming. And I think that's the hardest part. Jag, you destroying your name. I'm sorry. Just call you Jag. I'm going to call you Jag. I'm a Niner fan since the 70s. We can't overcome penalties, turnovers, poor tackling because we can't take advantage of our opportunity to score. That's 100% right. That's 100% right. Well, they can't overcome anything because they're not putting themselves in a position to be in a good spot consistently. They're consistently in a bad spot. That's the most consistent thing about the 49ers this year is they're consistently in a bad spot. That's what they're good at being consistent at. They're consistent at being in a bad spot. It's not good. It's unfortunate. It's not the best. It's not the best right now. But thank you for the super chat. I appreciate that. I really do. Isn't development of young talent needed? Yes. Do we have anyone that fits that mold on the coaching staff? Oof. I was nervous. I will admit, as much as I wanted Kyle to draft the rookie, I was very nervous for Kyle to draft the rookie. I don't think development is his strong suit. I don't. That's one of my scouting. I have a scouting report of Kyle, and that has been a scouting point of emphasis for something he doesn't do well since his first year. I don't think he's great at developing talent. And again, it goes back into building up your guys, things like that. You need to be patient with young guys. Young guys need encouragement. Young guys need positive reinforcement. I don't think that's Shanny's vibe. I don't think he's that kind of guy. He could. Just my scouting report on him. Again, I don't know Kyle. I don't know. That's just my vibe. I don't know. Yes. Brandon Ayuk at least showed something today. That was good. Yeah. Like, so this is the part that, again, I think they're just stuck in a weird spot. They're stuck in the Jimmy Garoppolo Bermuda Triangle, basically. They traded all that. Stuff. That was a win now move, right? That's a win now. Like, that's to reset in a year. So I honestly think the thought process was Jimmy Garoppolo is going to play well enough for us to win games that if and when he gets hurt, we make the natural transition to Trey Lance. Trey Lance plays good enough. He keeps the job. We trade Jimmy in the offseason. I think they had a grand plan for all of this. I just don't think it has worked out to their that like they thought it would work out. Um I appreciate you, Kyle. Kyle said he's going to bat in your comment sections. I don't know how much more we as fans can take. I get it. It sucks. It sucks. It really does. Sad boy hours. Facts. Someone play Marvin's Room by Drake right now. Someone do it. Someone do it. Jeff says trade deserved to close that game out. We were in desperation mode. I'm tired of Jimmy throwing way too high, getting our tight ends and wide receivers killed. You know, I talked about that on the live stream during the game. I was saying, yeah, we needed a spark. We need a spark. Is that Trey? I don't know, because I don't think Jimmy was playing so badly enough that he needed to get benched or anything like that. But I was also on the other token of like, I also recognize that we don't have a spark at the moment. We kind of need a spark. Where are we getting that spark from? Where does that? And they kind of got it there towards the end, but then they fumbled it. They fumbled it away again by not being able to convert. I felt like that drive where they punted, they really needed a score on that drive. I really felt like points. The only way they would have had a shot is if on that very drive they scored points. I know they punted it and got the ball right back, but in the process killed a ton of time. So it's tough. Like I said, the other aspect is if you put Trey in, you could have a potential making that locker room environment even worse. So it's a screwed up situation. Shout out Dennis. Hey, I wouldn't even have known. Shout out Dennis. He's Dennis is smoking that 49ers pack tonight. He's smoking that Jimmy Garoppolo pack, that Kyle Shanahan pack tonight. He's enjoying all our tears. Enjoy it, man. Enjoy it. You deserve it. Apparently we deserve sadness. We apparently deserve sadness. Dude, there's going to be so many changes. I don't think fans have honestly looked that far ahead. I don't. Like this core group, that's why it's so terrifying. That's why it's so terrifying when this core group defends Jimmy the way they do, because you know there's a huge change coming at the end of this year. Does that mean if Jimmy goes, some of the core guys that have backed Jimmy go? That's what scares me the most. That's what scares me the most about this being a losing year and it not going well surrounding Jimmy Garoppolo, the potentially losing of the staff. Jeez. Scary. Scary, man. Really scary. Yep. Thought it thought it would be good too. Respectfully, we suck. Thank you for starting with the respectfully. I feel much better. But respectfully, we suck. Our secondary is trash. Our linebackers are playing scaredy cat. It's not the best. So again, it's a tough situation, man. It's a tough situation. Hindsight being what it is, it's a tough situation. So I don't know, man. It's tough. It's tough. Hey, I see again, I get it. A lot of people haven't looked towards the future. That's why you start looking towards the future. You start scratching your beard a little bit more. You're like, yeah, they need a win. They need a win now. They need to win now because next year's a little scary. Yeah, well, and two, the cap is going to go up. The other flip side, to maybe put your mind at ease, the cap space is going to go up probably like 15%. So it's going to go up substantially. It's going to go up substantially. Um, Jimmy's probably not going to be here. So it is what it is. It is what it is. Aw, thank you. So sweet. So sweet. Appreciate you, man. I appreciate the sourdough squad. Always trying to keep me up. That's the best part about the sourdough squad, man. Everyone's got each other's back. If someone starts getting a little sideways, we're like, all right, we hear you, but what about this? And we're like, all right, we're back to earth, we're back to reality. I think the biggest thing I like about the sourdough squad is the accountability that we have for one another. Um, we're a strong group, man. Again, these losses have been hard. It's been tough. There's a lot, we're venting right now, but Sourdough Squad is quietly the MVP of the year. The Sourdough Squad is quietly the MVP of the year. Like I said, man, I've gone down a path. I've gone down a couple paths. Sourdough Squad is right there though. Again, we try to be objective. We try to look at everything from all angles. We don't want to fall into one of these narrative categories as much as we can. So shout out Sourdough Squad. Always holding your boy down. Always holding the boy down. So I'm not ready to talk about next year. I'm not. I'm not. I'm not going to. I'm not going to talk about next year. I know that question was asked, which is why we're talking about it. We're not talking about next year yet. I'm not. I'm not. We still got this year. There's still a lot to figure out this year. There's still a lot going down that needs to be corrected. It is what it is. So it's been tough, man. It's been tough. So I think we can let's all take a break. Oh, oh my gosh, guys, Sourdough Squad, man, still making me feeling like I'm getting a W even after a tough loss. Appreciate you, James. Appreciate comments like that. They don't go unnoticed. We appreciate you guys. I get it. It was a rough loss. Like I said earlier, this loss is going to go down. I'm not going to say it's going to go down as anything, but this was the worst case scenario. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Hey, let's go. Hey, less toxicity, the better. Let's go. Yep, 49ers versus everybody. You know the vibes. This was the worst case. This was worst case. We're not going to sugarcoat it. Not going to sugarcoat it. This was the worst case scenario. This was the worst case scenario of how to lose this game. It was like, let's be honest. I think we can all agree whichever level of optimism we sit at, I think we can all collectively agree this was the worst possible way that we could have lost. So it's not what we wanted. I'm not watching the Rams game right now. I'm protesting football at the moment. Are they losing to the? Are they losing? But anyways, the point was it was probably one of the worst ways to lose that we could have. Like if you could have laid out any of the scenarios, like here's the worst possible way to lose, here's the middle case way to lose, here's the best possible case to lose. We picked the worst one. Not only did we lose, but we took the most worst possible route to get there to lose. The timing is terrible. Another home loss against a division opponent that was open for the taking. So it is what it is, right? Not what we wanted. Again, our tune will change. We'll see what happens if the Rams lose. You know, maybe we're get a little bump of optimism for the game against them next week. But just like their game, it's only 14-3. Tennessee's up in the top of the second. There's a lot of game left, guys. There's a lot of game left. It is what it is. Luke says, Brad, I'm not worried about our core guys, but depending on how our season goes, I think they know who they're willing to trade and who they will build around. But we don't rebuild and become sellers. But we don't rebuild and become sellers. I kind of agree. Yeah, we're going to keep the core for sure. We're going to keep the core. Or keep the core. There's going to be, I don't want to talk too much about the future because it gets a little depressing. Especially if they end up with a losing year. So I don't want to go too far down that road. I hear what you're saying. Tommy says we can't tackle for Shiitake. Facts. Yeah, not good. Not good right now. So, you know, it is what it is. I'm not going to give any, grand gestures of what this season still could be, what it is, what it ain't. Because I understand we're emotional right now. We're upset right now. It does feel like the season is coming a bit to an end. It's not mathematically. There's still a lot of year left. But again, on the flip side, if they can't play, if they can't show up in a game like that today, it of course is going to put a lot of questions in fans' minds. So we'll have other days for optimism. We understand today is an emotional day. It hurts right now. It doesn't look great. And yes, it's upsetting. But we'll see what happens with this game against the Rams. We'll see what happens throughout the week. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. We'll see what occurs throughout. We'll see. So again, lots of game left. Just like we talked about last week, we're like, oh, well, we've been hurt. Now we just need one of our opponents to do the same thing and get hurt and level out the playing field theoretically. That's what we were hoping for. Didn't get it. So it sucks. But like always, what you guys know. I'll be back tomorrow. We'll be back to kind of regurgitate the venting session. It'll be more of a vibe check. Monday show tomorrow will be more of a vibe check. It'll be a little bit more about checking in. How are we feeling? Do we still feel like the season's over? We'll talk about everything that came out. I have a lot of content gathering to do once I get off here to see what's been said, all that stuff. So we'll talk about any potential injuries that came from the game, um, any potential, like, we're gonna have to figure out what's going on with the right tackle position. We got a lot to figure out still. Um, we got some stuff to figure out. So it's back to the drawing board. Appreciate you guys. I imagine to see all the faithful Sourdough Squad members there on Monday. And if you don't make it, it's all good. I know you guys show up when you can, and is always appreciated. So let's pick it back up on Monday. Let's see if we feel a little better. See if we feel a little bit better tomorrow. Um, so that's what we'll do. Get a good night's sleep tonight. Um, like we said, like we always say, we understand you kind of got to work through this life having some kind of vice, whether it's drinking, whether it's whatever else you do, as long as it's not destructive to you or anyone else around you. Do what you got to do. Justin Simmons, what a dog. Let's go. We see you guys. We appreciate you. Um, so we'll pick it up again tomorrow. Same time, 1:30. You know the vibes. You guys have a great rest of your night. You guys have a as best a night as you can. Try and get some relief from the stress so we can pick it up tomorrow. All right. You guys have a good rest of your night.